bin or something like that. But this is definitely worth checking out. Yeah, Marching to Mars, I think, was a good start for Sammy, but I think Sammy did way better stuff after Marching to Mars. He was just getting his solo career back on track. There's some good stuff there. Like I said with Van Halen 3, you know, there was good stuff with Van Halen 3. The band didn't have enough time to gel. And the producing, a mess. No reins on Ed. Nobody helping him shape stuff. Ed is brilliant, but he also needs to work with people. When he had David Lee Roth and he had Ted Templeman and he had Don Landy, they were all in the mix with Ed, and that's how those songs came out so fucking incredible. Because they knew how to get the best out of each other. The friction of Dave and Ed, and you mix Al and Mike in there, and the sound that Don Landy and Ted Templeman got out, that was the magic. That was part of the soup. Let me tell you something. The sparks between Dave and John 5 here, they are not to be ignored. Those two have a magic, just like he had with Billy and Greg and Steve, just like he had with Eddie. There's some really good stuff there. This is definitely worth checking out. So you and your fucking Sam versus Dave versus Van Halen versus Ed,
by the way,
Gary Sharon and his mother Josephina and everybody every which way. You're always looking for some WWF SmackDown.
Yes, I am. Absolutely. Anytime you could throw Dave versus Sam into the title of the podcast episode, people will come. People will come. And by the way, I do agree with you that I like this album better than I like Marching to Mars.
Yeah, definitely.
I think Marching to Mars is a good album, but for me, the proof is in the pudding. I bought DLR Band when it came out. To this day, I still don't own a copy of Marching to Mars.
Why not?
I mean, I listen to it on Spotify or on YouTube or things like that, but I don't listen to it all that often. So not from beginning to end. It was one of those Sam albums that, you know, I just didn't go running to. Although there are some good songs on it. So my point is that David Lee Roth is the king. He was
the king of the hill. King of the hill.
Oh, king of the hill. Thank you. Well played, sir.
That's right.
He's king of the hill. Kicking Van Halen's butt, kicking Sammy's butt, cranking out an album that unfortunately nobody heard.
And no one got to see live. That's the real crime here. A lot of these songs would have really come alive on stage.
Yeah, but even later on when Dave would do like the one song, he would do Slam Dunk.
Yeah.
I mean, when we interviewed Bart Walsh, he would say, you know, we would have Slam Dunk in the set list, and, you know, that was the bathroom break.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't say that verbatim, but he was like, you know, because after a while they took that song out of the set.
Right.
Because people were like, meh. But, you know, because they came to hear Van Halen. That's what Dave was known for. And Dave wasn't really pushing his solo album. I mean, before that, when you would see Dave live, this is pretty much how it would go down. Dave would play the crap out of whatever the new album was at the time.
Yep.
Certainly early in the tour.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he would do like half a dozen songs from whatever album he was pushing. Then he would do a boatload of Van Halen songs, and then he would do like a handful of solo songs. He'd do like his hits.
Right.
And that's what it would be.
Yep.
Maybe sometimes towards the end of the tour, some of the songs from the album he was pushing at the time would go by the wayside.
Yep.
And there'd be more Van Halen.
Yep.
I remember noticing that when we saw Dave in '94 from the Filthy Little Bop.
We saw him at the beginning of the tour and at the end of the tour. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So that was usually Dave's thing.
Yeah.
But certainly when he came around and started playing in 1999, I mean, it was like all Van Halen and Yankee Rose and Slam Dunk if you were lucky.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what he was doing.
Yeah.
Because a year later, he was back in the studio with Van Halen trying to do some stuff, which we didn't really know at the time.
Trying for number 2 reunion.
Right. But unfortunately, that didn't pan out too well. It's like, for me, this album is one of Dave's top 3 albums. It's right up there with Eat 'Em and Smile.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you take me out drinking, you might be able to convince me it's the second best album.
Wow.
Everything is. I do think.
I love how you
like,
always put in like, you buy me dinner or you take me out drinking. It's like everybody's always got to coax you into shit.
yes. That's how I roll. That's how I roll.
That's how you roll. Well,
what can I tell you? But I mean, I do like Skyscraper. Yeah. I think it's underrated. I think there's a lot of good songs on there.
Yes.
But DLR Band has its strong points too. I mean, I lean more towards Skyscraper than I do DLR Band, but if you could make a compelling argument why it's better, and I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you.
I absolutely.
It's kind of like when we say Van Halen is two bands with Dave and Sam.
Yeah.
And we get a letter that says no, it's the same band, just a different singer. And I know you feel strongly about them being two bands, and I feel less strongly about it. But again, if you took me out drinking and told me they were the same band, depending what you're buying me, I could be convinced.
It's amazing. You're like, hey, you take me to an amusement park, you buy me a cotton candy, maybe I'll agree with you.
No, it's got to be dinner. It's got to be a burger joint. It's got to be a burger joint.
You're like, yeah, you take me out to Peter Luger's, you get me a hooker. I'll tell you, Van Halen 3 is the best thing they've ever come out with.
That's quite the combo.
Well, that's what I'm saying. For you to turn and say Van Halen 3 is one of the top Van Halen albums, I can see anything. You're
no. Van Halen 3 is not one of the top Van Halen albums.
No, I'm saying if someone were like, you take me out to Peter Luger's, throw a steak down my throat, get me a hooker, maybe I'll tell you Van Halen 3 is one of the top. Like,
there is not enough Peter Luger's steak in the world for that to happen.
All right, folks. Well, I think we had enough chewing on this one, and we are going to now move on to our exclusive interview with John Five, the guitarist on David Lee Roth's DLR Band album from 1998. He is on 7 of the songs which he co-wrote with Roth. He is also the man who co-wrote and is playing on the California Sessions, the unreleased David Lee Roth album. And we talked to him about the DLR Band days, how he got in the band, how he met Dave. He gets into all of that. We talk about the California Sessions. We also talk about his new album, Invasion, with his band, The Creatures. We talk about touring with Zombie and Marilyn Manson. He gets into his Kiss collection and all kinds of stuff, but lots and lots of Van Halen. He talks about Roth and all that stuff. Lots with Roth. Went heavy on that. And he is a super, super nice guy, and we want to thank him. He actually did this interview from the bathroom of his tour bus because he has better reception in there. So he is such a trooper and such a nice guy. I want to thank him for that, and it's all coming up next. Take a listen.
Because we have kind of been pigeonholed as America's premier party band, and we're not. There's much more to us as musicians and the music that we've written.
Need a laugh? Check out the Funny How Comedy Podcast, which focuses on upbeat conversations with legendary comedians. It's free on Spreaker and iTunes. Check us out on Facebook at Funny How Comedy Podcast, on Twitter at Funny How Podcast, on Instagram at Funny How Comedy Podcast, or email us at funnyhowcomedypodcast@gmail.com.
Hey, this is Vince Steele of Motley Crue, and you're listening to Dave and Dave on Unchained.
Hey, this is Mitch Malloy. My new video and single, My Therapy, off the new CD, Making Noise, is now available on YouTube, Amazon, iTunes, and wherever music is sold. Go to MitchMalloy.com for more info and tour dates. I've been cheated and I've been had. I've never been broke this bad.
Well, it's all balance. A lot of times, I'm up at dawn. I get up at 5, 6. I bring my bicycles with me on the road. I tie the hair up under the hat. And, you can't dress like Little Richard and sail down the middle of Main Street and go, hi, how come they're looking at me, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, we have an incredible guest this afternoon. This man is one of the greatest guitarists on tour right now, and he has an incredible new album called Invasion. Please welcome Mr. John Five.
Hi, howdy ho.
John, we are so thrilled to have you, and your new album is tremendous. I'm actually addicted to the song I Am John 5. That is so catchy, and I find myself humming it all the time. So tell me, how did that particular one come about?
You know, my son was listening to this EDM music,
right,
and I could, hear it, and I was like, man, some of this stuff is super, super catchy, and I was like, I'm always up for a really good hook.
Sure. So
I thought, I'm gonna and then they wear these outfits, and they kind of look like almost aliens, and I'm like, that's kind of a good idea. And I just had this whole concept of this robot coming down to Earth, flying in and destroying stuff, and all he was programmed to say was I am John 5. And I thought, oh, okay. So I went into the studio, and it was just one note,
wow,
just repeated 4 times. And I'm like, well, how am I going to do that? Because there's no vocals. So I got one of those, voice things where you plug it into your guitar, and it just worked, it's still coming out of the guitar, and it's saying I am John 5, and it just, so simple that it makes it so hooky.
There's so many elements to it because it's got that little hook, then it's got this crazy groove to it, and then you soloing on top of it makes it this fury of sound that really just encapsulates the listener, so it's really exciting.
I appreciate it, and that was the whole point. I was like, what if there was, there's a DJ and they're filling these arenas, and I thought, well, why not do it with just the guitar?
Sure.
I think, and that's what I tried to accomplish, and it was, it's a lot of fun. People really enjoy that and crank it, and I Want It All, that kind of stuff, and people really enjoy those songs. I'm super excited about it.
It's true. I'm a hardcore guitar listener. I don't play guitar. I can't play a lick, but I love guitar so much. So I listen to so many instrumental guitarists, and you particularly have such color and flair. And I wanted to know, with all the different elements that you bring to your guitar playing, did a lot of that fanfare and colorfulness come from being a Kiss fan?
I think it's just... I kind of look at this as entertainment, and I'm like, why not? A lot of these guys are bringing their wives and girlfriends or friends that don't play guitar, but why not, put on a show? It doesn't have to just be someone just standing there with a guitar. Let's put some production into this, and let's make this a good time for everybody.
Sure.
So not just musicians have to come, everybody can come that wants a crazy night out.
Sure.
And that's what I've been doing. It's really, really worked well. Because without the fans, there's nothing. I'd be sitting around doing nothing. I enjoy it myself, so it's from the heart.
Right.
It's something that is just real, and it's true, and I just love playing guitar, and I love playing music, and that's the only reason I do it.
Yeah. And is that how you connected with David Lee Roth? Because David has that kind of I'm here to entertain you kind of presentation. I'm not just here to sing. I'm not just here to bang out this rock song. I am going to fully entertain you. And as you well know, even when Dave talks, he entertains. So is that something that you guys connected with?
Van Halen, they were my heroes, and but I think it starts with, anybody, Bowie, Kiss, Alice Cooper, Van Halen, even Barnum and Bailey, with the circus, anything. It's just very smart to, if you do something, like if you juggle or something, why not have, something else going in the background? It's just entertainment. I just have always looked at it that way, and why not?
Sure. Now, you got your first, big break with Dave in the DLR Band. How did you initially get that gig?
I was sitting on my friend's couch, and I saw the book Crazy from the Heat, and I go, I wonder what Dave's doing right now. And I did nothing at this point. No one knew who I was or anything like that. I haven't done that one thing. And I called, there was a number in the back of the book, not a number, but like an address, and I found out, I found the number, and it was their management company. And so I called and I said, I was wondering if you guys are looking for any music. I'm a guitar player, my name's Sean Lowry, and blah, 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 blah. And they said, you can send your CD here. And so I went and I sent a CD, and I can't believe it, but they liked it.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, you know.